run through, good girl, boundary games very, very quickly. So initially, I want the dog just to get on the boundary. I have no words on it or anything. It's just, can you get on the boundary? It is an all-inclusive resort, tropical island where all good things happen. So I would start this like this. The dog's on the other side. I'm on this side of the boundary. She's going to come back, and I'm going to reward the boundary, not the dog. When I play boundary games, I really don't care if the dog sits, stands, or whatever, or lies down, as long as the food is on the boundary and her feet are on the boundary. If she happens to get off, which she's not going to, I'm going to have her on leash so that I can prevent her wandering away. When she gets back up, I'm going to feed. So step one is you just feed on the boundary. You can see that I'm feeding fairly regularly, but I'm also feeding very slowly. She's standing kind of at the edge of the boundary, so I'm going to make being farther away from me the more valuable place to be. She's on leash, so if she makes a mistake because she doesn't have enough value for the boundary, I can prevent her jumping off, going too far. I'm not going to keep her on the boundary. Hang on, let's see if we can do a little fake out here. She gets off and she gets back on. So I didn't pull her back on, but the leash, my foot on the leash, prevented her from going very far. If I needed to, I would move to the other side of the boundary. So I'm going to get her off there. My foot is on the leash. I'm going to go to the other side of the boundary so she wants to hop up on it again. So that is step one. Step two with boundary games is I'm going to add my release word. So my release word for her is break. Feeding the boundary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say break, and then I'm going to toss the treat off. Separate it. I'm going to wait, see what choice she makes. She comes back on. I am going to feed. I might even feed really good food on and less good food off, so that there's more value with the boundary than being off. But again, I am preventing her from going too far and wandering. So once again, because her language is physical, and I want her to learn, I want her to learn the verbal word break, I have to separate that from my physical cue. Break, and then toss. She doesn't have to move. I prompt the moving with my hand movement, but dogs learn through prediction, so very quickly she will learn that when I say that word, it's time to hop off. Once the dog absolutely loves that, is constantly coming back to the boundary, I might start to put a word on this. You'll notice there's not a lot of duration on the boundary at this point. It is just she loves being there. I really want to emphasize my release word at this point. I want the dog, I love it when you say that word because I get to move. Break. Off. I was saying off to you, not off to her. And then again, I'm feeding on the boundary. I don't care if she's in a sit, a down, if she's action prompting and pushing on me, I'm just going to feed her farther away than from me. If she were jumping on me, I would be feeding back here and I would be standing over here. Lots of problem solving that can be done on the boundary. It's going to be available in the house. If she happens to go on it, I might walk by, I might ninja feed, i.e. give her a piece of food without, making a big deal about it, and I'm going to release. But at this point, I am not going to break. I am not going to ask her to go on the boundary for any extended period of time. They are not ready for that yet. I want a dog that has so much value for the boundary that it's really hard to get them off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit of conversations with dogs. So I'm going to kind of look at her, and in my brain I'm going to say, do you know to remain on the boundary when I look out the window? And if she says yes, she earns a piece of food. Do you know to remain on the boundary while I play with food? She's such a slow eater. While I play with food. She says, yep, Mama, I can do that. So she earns a piece of food. Do you know to remain on the boundary while I go over and move a chair? She says yes. Oh, she said no. Good girl. Good. I'm going to go back, move the chair, I'm not getting to sit down. So you'll see all I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of body pressure to get her back to the boundary. I would be using my leash. I am not feeding immediately. Initially, yes, I am feeding him all the time. But at the point when I'm starting to play conversations with dogs, which may be 2 weeks into your training, I am not going to feed if they make a mistake. Good girl. Make it a little easier. Good. She stayed that time. Good. Try again. Make it easy. Good. And I'm going to feed her. And because she made a mistake, I'm going to release her off. Break. Just because I think she's about at her tolerance for boundary games. Break. Good. So I'm going to play conversations with dogs for a very long time. It is proofing, but I'm never going to make it so hard. Can you remain on the boundary while I put food up there? She can, so I'm going to feed. So every time she says yes, I know how to do that. She earns food. Every time she says no, I've never understood that before, Mama. I'm going to help her get back, and I'm going to help her get back, and I'm going to try again, a little bit less. Good girl. So no food immediately. Yes, good girl. I'm going to try and turn around completely this time. Yes, good girl. Good. That was hard. So that's conversations with dogs, which is like step 3 or 4. Break. Then I'm going to take that disengagement pattern game that we've learned in class, and I'm going to do a variation of it. So I'm going to feed, this is like step 5, I'm going to feed huge amounts of food and fabulous food on the boundary. So, huge amounts of food, little pieces of food, but many pieces of food. It might be 5, it might be 6. I'm just upping the value of the boundary. And then I'm going to say my release word, and I'm going to pretend to throw break. See what her choice is? She's going back to the boundary. So what I'm doing now is I'm building huge value. The environment is a good thing, but the boundary is better. All of that disengagement pattern gameplay stuff that we've been working on. Good. Good girl. Good. At that point, when she loves the boundary so much that she's going to hop back on really fast, I might, she said, I can smell things on them. Are they there? I'm going to wait till she makes a choice. Yes, good girl. So her neck came back in. She made a choice not to go to the, that. Good. Hang on. Good, nice choice. Break. Bad me, I said break and through at the same time. Not good training, but we all make mistakes. So, when she loves boundary, I am going to start to say the word. And now I'm going to do very, very short times on the boundary, and I'm going to get off and on so that she can hear the word. Because remember that a dog needs to hear the word maybe 400 times. Good choice. No food for going back up. A dog needs to hear the word maybe 400 times before they start to understand what it means. Break, toss. As she's about to go back up, hop it up. Good. So my word is hop it up. It's also sometimes go to bed. Break. Hop it up. So it isn't a command. It is a cue. When she's about to do it already, I am putting a word on it. The behavior you are about to do, break, is called hop it up. Good girl. Okay, other things that you can do to build value for your boundary. You can certainly play the airplane game on the boundary. As long as her head stays still, take it. It's a calm game. Take it. You can certainly play It's Your Choice on the boundary. Yes, which is about eye contact with me. Yes, that's advanced It's Your Choice. I move my hand. I can also play mouse game on the boundary. I don't know if she can do this. This will be interesting. I put food on the ground. I cover it if she comes off the boundary. Sorry. If she stays on the boundary, she gets the food. Good, good girl. Nice, good girl. That was super. So I can play all of those games, and now she hops off, of course. Just so that you know, she has really crappy duration on the boundary. She is like the poorest dog for me that I have for boundary games. So the other thing I can play is another little bit of conversations with dogs. Can I pull on your leash a little bit and have you stay? Yes. If she says she can do that, then she gets food. Yes. Again, builds huge value for the boundary. Yes. So my release word on the boundary, I have two. It is never sit down, stand, come, or any of those other cues. It is always either her name, because she lives in a multi-dog household, or break. Magic. Good. So that's her release as well. Hop it up. Good girl. As well as break, because in a multi-dog household, I need to be able to call them out of their crates or off their boundaries separately. Eventually, I want to be able to fade the food on the boundary, and I will do that slowly so that the boundary becomes just the place that you are while mama does other things or dad does other things, while a person does other things. Is she calm right now? Nope, she is absolutely not calm, but if she were to be there long enough, she would eventually get calm. Good. So I will also use the boundary as a start button for other things. So I have no idea, she's never done this. We'll see what happens. This is a very long video, Missy. Where's your toy? There it is. So it is a start button for other things. So, break. Good. Break, get it? Good. So by going to the boundary without me cueing it, that was me allowing, that was her saying, I'm ready to play. So it's a start button. Her saying, I'm ready. Break, get it. We've never done this. We've done it with the crate, but never with a boundary. Good girl. Good. Good. Good girl. A little bit of impulse control. Break. Get it. Good job. Good. And I know that you're all looking and going, wow, she's releasing that toy. That is because we've played months of switch game, which is that. She's eating. Let's see if she can figure out. She's a little bit higher because I played longer this time. Let's see if she can figure out how to get this game started again. I'm helping her by looking at the boundary. I may, yes, freak, get it, good girl. I'm helping her by looking at the boundary. I was about to orient towards it, but I didn't cue it. I want her to be in control. If she had wandered off, I would have stepped on the leash. It's part of why I train on the leash initially. Good. Good. So again, we played a little, good girl. We played a little bit long. Where's the value in agility? The value in agility is right here. Get it. I should be saying break, get it for her, because get it should not be a release from boundary cue. Get it, hey, good girl. What? Good. Ready, steady. Break, get it. Good girl. Good job. So that is also the impulse control that you need when visitors come in, right? I'm staying on my boundary, and then I get off and say hi to the visitors. Visitors aren't talking to me. How can I get them to talk to me? How can I get them to interact with me? I go to my boundary. Good job. I'm going to pay her, and we're going to call that the end of this video.